Picture this. You are sitting at your desk, staring at your investment account, thinking to yourself, is any of this even working? The numbers barely seem to move. You are putting money in every single month, making real sacrifices, and it still feels like you are running on a treadmill going absolutely nowhere. And then one day, without any dramatic announcement, everything shifts. Your money starts making more money than some people earn at their actual jobs. Not because you got a raise, not because you won anything, just because you stayed in the game long enough to hit the numbers that change everything. It is not magic. It is not luck. It is mathematics. And there are 3 specific net worth milestones where this transformation happens so dramatically that your entire relationship with wealth changes forever. My name is Uncle Investor, and I have spent 45 years studying exactly where those tipping points are and why most people miss them entirely. If you want to know when your money stops depending on you and starts working for you, subscribe right now and hit that like button. It costs you nothing, and it helps this information reach the people who genuinely need it most. Now, before we get into these 3 life-changing numbers, we need to talk about something nobody warns you about when you first start building wealth. And that is this uncomfortable truth. In the beginning, almost all of your progress comes from you, from your discipline, from your consistency, from your willingness to set money aside every single month, even when it does not feel like it is making any difference at all. Here is what that looks like with real numbers. Say you invest $500 a month into a diversified index fund, earning an average annual return of 7 to 8%. In the early years, when you look at your account, the bulk of what you see is the money you personally deposited. The investment growth is real, but it is still small, still warming up, still getting ready to do something that will genuinely surprise you. And this is exactly where most people quit. They feel like they are doing all the work. Because in those early years, they are. And they walk away right before the curve bends permanently in their favor. That is the single most expensive financial mistake a person can make. And the tragic part is that it happens not because people are bad with money. It happens because they do not understand what is quietly building beneath the surface. Think about it this way. Imagine you are learning to play an instrument. The beginning is frustrating and progress feels painfully slow. But once you reach a certain level of skill, improvement accelerates dramatically. Wealth building works exactly the same way. The foundation years feel brutal, but they are the years that make everything else possible. To understand why staying in the game matters so much, you need to understand how compounding actually works. It is simple. If you invest $100 and it grows by 10% in year 1, you end the year with $110. In year 2, your investment does not grow based on your original $100. It grows based on the $110 you now have. So another 10% gives you $121. You earn $10 in year 1 and $11 in year 2 without putting in a single extra dollar. That extra $1 is the beginning of compounding. Your growth is now growing. And over decades, that principle becomes the most powerful financial force available to an ordinary person. Albert Einstein supposedly called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. Whether he actually said that is up for debate, but the truth behind it absolutely is not. Those who understand compound interest build serious, lasting wealth. Those who do not will spend their entire lives working harder and harder while their money sits in savings accounts earning practically nothing. The secret is not income. The secret is not timing the market. The secret is understanding this principle and acting on it as early as possible. We live in a world where you can get food delivered in 30 minutes, stream any movie ever made in seconds, and buy practically anything with one click. The idea of waiting years for anything sounds almost barbaric to most people today. But here is the thing that separates people who build wealth from people who spend their entire lives wondering why they cannot get ahead. Money does not just sit there when you invest it correctly. It earns returns. And then those returns start earning their own returns. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme or a financial fairy tale. This is basic mathematics that has been creating millionaires for generations. And yet most people either do not understand it or simply do not believe it actually works for regular people like them. Now let us get into the 3 milestones that change everything. The first milestone is $100,000. This is the number that separates people who save from people who actually build wealth. And here is exactly why it matters so much mathematically and psychologically. If you invest $500 a month at a 7% average annual return, it takes approximately 7 years and 9 months to reach your first $100,000. 7 years and 9 months might sound like a long time, especially when you are just getting started. But think about it this way. 7 years ago, were you the same person you are today? Time passes whether you are building wealth or not. The question is simply whether your money is working while it does. Out of that $100,000 balance, roughly $46,000 came from your own monthly contributions. The other $54,000 is pure investment growth, money that worked quietly in the background so you did not have to. Now, that is not going to change your life overnight. But what most people miss at this stage is that they have just completed the hardest part of the entire journey. They have built the foundation that will support everything that comes next. Here's the part that will completely reframe how you see this number. If you hit $100,000 by age 35 and never invested another single dollar after that point, that money alone would grow to just over $1 million by age 65. That assumes an 8% average annual return. Give it another 10 years, and you are looking at more than $2 million by age 75. This approach is known as Coast Fire. It is a financial independence strategy where you front-load your investments early so that time does all the heavy lifting for the rest of your life. Now, most people will not hit 100,000 and then stop contributing entirely. The point is not that everyone should follow Coast Fire perfectly. The point is to show you the real power sitting inside that first $100,000. Because once you cross that line, compounding shifts from a background player to the dominant force driving your account forward. Each additional $100,000 after this point takes less time than the one before it. It took nearly 8 years to go from zero to $100,000, but it only takes about 5 more years to reach $200,000. Let that sink in. The mathematics has permanently shifted in your favor. At the 13-year mark, you are sitting at $200,000. Of that balance, you have personally contributed roughly $78,000 through your monthly investments. The other $122,000 that is pure investment growth. Your money has been quietly earning returns on returns, and suddenly those gains are becoming very real and very substantial. One important thing worth knowing about reaching this milestone faster: look closely at whatever tax-advantaged accounts exist in your country. In many places, pension and retirement contributions come with government tax relief and employer matching. If your employer matches your contributions up to a certain point and you are not taking full advantage of that, you are turning down free money every single month. Free money that also compounds over time. Use every single bit of it. Not taking advantage of employer matching is one of the most common and most costly financial mistakes people make without even realizing it. The second milestone is $650,000. This is the number where financial security stops being a concept on paper and starts being something you can actually feel in your everyday life. By around the 22-year mark of investing $500 a month at 7% returns, you are approaching $600,000. And this brings us to one of the most significant tipping points on the entire journey, because $650,000 in productive assets represents something that most people never truly understand until they experience it firsthand. The median household income in the United States currently sits at approximately $78,000 per year. Earning that income requires someone to sell their time to an employer every single day. It means commutes, workplace politics, performance reviews, and the constant low-level anxiety of needing that paycheck to arrive on time every 2 weeks. But with $650,000 invested at an 8% annual return, your portfolio generates approximately $52,000 per year in passive investment income. That is money arriving, whether you show up to work or not. To fully replace the median household income through passive income alone, you would need closer to $975,000 at an 8% return to generate that $78,000 annually. But even at $650,000, something powerful shifts inside your thinking. The fear of financial disaster shrinks dramatically. Losing a job becomes an inconvenience rather than an emergency. An unexpected medical bill does not send you into a spiral. You have real options that simply do not exist for people living paycheck to paycheck. And there is something else that happens at this level that is even more important than the financial security itself. Your entire relationship with risk changes. When your investments are already covering a significant portion of your living expenses, you can afford to take calculated risks that would have terrified you before. Maybe you have always wanted to start a business but could never afford to walk away from a steady salary. When your investments are covering a significant portion of your basic expenses, you can afford to take that entrepreneurial leap. Maybe you have wanted to go back to school, develop a new skill, or spend a year traveling while you're still young enough to fully enjoy it. When money is no longer your master, you can design your life around your values instead of your bank balance. This is what real wealth actually looks like. And it has nothing to do with showing off or impressing anyone. It is about having choices. It is about being able to say no to things that do not serve you and yes to the things that do. It is about living a life you actually chose rather than one you simply defaulted into. On the question of inflation, it is a fair concern, and it is already built into a well-executed strategy. If your portfolio is generating 8 to 9% annually and you are only withdrawing 6 to 7% each year, the remaining growth keeps your purchasing power intact and growing over time. Your principal gradually increases. Your passive income gradually increases. You are not just surviving inflation. You are outpacing it. Factor in any government retirement benefits available in your country, and the picture becomes even more comfortable. The average Social Security benefit in the United States is currently around $1,900 per month. When you combine that with substantial passive income from your investments, you are looking at a very comfortable lifestyle indeed. The third and final milestone is $1 million. And this is the one that changes absolutely everything. If you invest $500 per month at a consistent 7% annual return, you reach $1 million around the 29-year mark. When you finally cross that line, the first thing most people feel is not excitement. It is relief, deep bone-level relief, the kind that comes from knowing every year of consistency, every small sacrifice, every month of staying the course actually built into something real and lasting. You will think to yourself, all those years of being disciplined actually amounted to something real. It is like crossing the finish line of a marathon where the prize is not just a medal. It is the ability to breathe easier for the rest of your life. You will not necessarily feel rich, especially with inflation, making $1 million feel more like what $500,000 used to represent. But you will feel validated. You will realize that building wealth is not just for trust fund babies or people who got lucky. As a regular person with a regular salary, you have proven that the system actually works when you have the discipline to stick with it. Here is what $1 million actually does for you in practice. In year one, at an 8% average annual return, your portfolio generates $80,000. In year two, it generates another $86,400. By year 10, you are earning close to $160,000 per year from investments alone. For most people, work starts to become genuinely optional at that point. Your investment income is outpacing what the average person earns working a full-time job. Work quickly becomes something you choose, rather than something you are forced to do. The key framework to understand here is the 4% rule. This is a guideline widely used in retirement planning. It states that if you withdraw 4% of your portfolio balance each year and adjust that amount for inflation annually, your money should sustain itself for at least 30 years. With $1 million invested, that gives you $40,000 per year in withdrawals while the remaining balance continues growing in the background. That is the kind of foundation most people spend their entire lives wishing they had started building sooner. But here is where many people make a critical mistake right after crossing seven figures. They get comfortable. They achieved what once felt impossible. They loosen the habits that got them there. That is a serious error because reaching your first million is not the finish line. It is the starting line for everything that becomes possible next. From $1 million, your portfolio only needs to grow by 50% to reach $1.5 million. That can happen within just a few years under reasonable market conditions. To reach $2 million, your investments need to double, which historically occurs every 7 to 10 years depending on market performance. The jump from $2 million to $3 million requires only a 50% increase. From $3 million to $4 million, just 33%. Each subsequent million becomes mathematically easier than the last, provided you maintain the discipline that built the foundation in the first place. This is where wealthy people start thinking differently about money. They understand that every dollar has the potential to become multiple dollars through compound growth, and this understanding influences every single financial decision they make going forward. Now, a lot of people worry about market crashes, and it is a question worth answering directly. If you are consistently investing over decades, market downturns actually help you build wealth faster over the long run. When prices fall, your monthly contributions purchase more shares at a lower cost. When the market recovers, and historically it always has, those additional shares become extremely valuable. So market crashes are not something to fear if you are a long-term investor with a steady contribution plan. They are actually opportunities dressed up as disasters. Diversification and a conservative withdrawal rate protect you during the difficult periods, while compounding accelerates your growth during the strong ones. The mathematics here is not complicated. The discipline is the hard part. And that discipline is precisely what separates the people who build substantial, lasting wealth from the people who spend their lives wondering what could have been different. So there you have it, 3 milestones that transform your net worth from a slow, painful crawl into an unstoppable force. $100,000 is where compounding wakes up and starts pulling its own weight right alongside you. $650,000 is where passive income becomes real and starts changing your day-to-day sense of security and freedom. $1 million is where you realize you have won a game that most people did not even know they were playing. One last thing before you go. Yes, these milestones matter deeply. Yes, hitting them will change your life in ways that are genuinely hard to put into words. But you're also allowed to live along the way. There is no point building wealth for 3 decades if you never give yourself permission to enjoy the present. Money is a tool. It is meant to support your life, not replace it. Now do me a favor right now. If this video opened your eyes today, share it with one friend or one family member who needs to hear this. You could literally change someone's entire financial future just by hitting that share button. And if you want to know exactly what to do every single time a paycheck lands in your account so you can start building toward these milestones right away, go watch our previous video titled "Do This Every Time You Get Paid." The link is right there on your screen. I will see you in that one.